this is Stacy Sanchez from Heart Prince of God. A couple of years ago, we had a huge cottonwood tree. Well, I say we. It wasn't really our cottonwood tree. It was in the yard that backed up to our yard, but we considered it our tree because it made gorgeous shade in the summertime, and we just loved being outside and enjoying the beauty of that tree. And one of the things about that tree that was so special was that an owl decided to take up residence there. And so every day when I would get home from work, I could hardly wait to go out in the backyard and see the owl. Well, it wasn't hard to see the owl when he first started living there because it was in the winter months. But as it started to get warmer weather and that tree started to leaf out, seeing that owl got harder and harder and harder to do. In fact, one day I came home and I went out there hoping to see the owl, and I looked and I looked and I looked. I could not see the owl, and I just knew it had left. I knew it had gone, and it had, went in search of a better tree and was in somebody else's yard. I just knew it. And I came in disappointed, and I told my husband, "He's gone, the owl's gone." And my husband said, "Oh, beautiful, I bet he's still out there. Let's go look." And so my husband came, he took one quick look at that tree, and he's like, "Yep, he's right there." And I looked, I said, "Where?" "Right there." "I don't see him." So he said, "Come here, beautiful." So I walked over to where he was. My husband stood behind me. He extended his arm out and he pointed. And he told me to look down the length of his arm to follow where his finger was pointing. And when I did that, yeah, the owl was right there, almost in plain sight. Only I couldn't see him until my husband pointed him out. And see, there's something you need to know about my husband, and that is that he was an owl expert. He worked for years and years in the Forest Service doing a spotted owl survey. He tracked them, he studied them, he could hoot at them and they would hoot back. He knew owls. So for him to be able to find that owl, it was no problem because he had trained eyes. Me, on the other hand, when it wasn't just a bare tree and so obvious to see the owl there, I needed some help. It's the same for us spiritually. Sometimes in our life, it's so easy to see God. We can just see His hand moving, we can see His presence, we just know that God is in our situation. But then other times, sort of like the time we find ourselves living in now, seeing God can get harder and harder to do when a lot of distractions, a lot of chaos and confusion come between us and God. And it's at those times when, if we're having trouble seeing God, we have the tendency to want to say, "He's not here, He's not in this situation, where's God?" And yet we know God never leaves. We know He's always there. Sometimes we just need somebody to come along beside us and to extend their faith and, help us to be able to point our eyes back on our God. It's as simple as that. Sometimes we can see Him, sometimes we can't, but God is always there. And how blessed we are by those who can come along, share their faith, extend their arm, and help us to get our eyes back on God again. But sometimes we are those trained eyes. Sometimes the people in our sphere of influence, in our own family, our coworkers, people even sometimes that share a pew with us at church, they may be in a season where they're having a hard time seeing God, but we can see Him. How in tune we need to be, how mindful we need to be to come alongside those kind of people that are struggling in their faith, that are struggling to see God, and to say, God is still there. He hasn't moved. Look. And then we extend our faith and we point in the direction of our God, and then they can focus once again back on God. So today, I guess my encouragement is this: if you're having a hard time seeing God, He's still there. I promise you, He's still there. Maybe have the courage to share your struggle with somebody who can come alongside you with their faith and point your eyes back on your God. Or maybe you're the one who's able to see Him very clear at the season of life that you're in. You can see His hand, you can just see what He's doing. Then you need to, pray and ask God to help you come along somebody who might be struggling. Because honestly, during this journey of faith, we find ourselves in both camps sometimes. Sometimes we can see God so clear. Sometimes we need somebody to come along and say, "No, God hasn't left. He's still there. Let me show you." All right, keep looking for those heart prints and have a beautiful, blessed day.